Hello, everybody. It's Marcus with Surge to Hit, and welcome to a tournament report. This is the first one we're going to be doing. So, this is on screen right now. This is the army I ran. It was an 8 activation Gar Anakin list. So, let's get into what the list I brought was. And that list is, so first of all, it is Commander Anakin Skywalker with Force Push, Saber Throw, Offensive Stance / Defensive Stance, which when we get into the actual games, you'll see that it was mostly just defensive stance, and he also has Tenacity. I have the Clone Commander with Strict Orders and Portable Scanner. I have 6 units filling out my core. So I have 2 identical unit Phase 2s, each with the Z6 Trooper, the extra Phase 2, and Overwatch. I have 1 Phase 1 Clone Trooper unit with 5s, 1 Phase 1 Clone Trooper with the RSP 6 Trooper and the extra Trooper. And then I have 2 identical units of Phase 1 Troopers with the DC 15 Trooper. And then that comes to 793 points in total, 8 activations. And it was an interesting list to run, only 8 activations. The command cards I brought with me were Ambush, This is Where the Fun Begins, Air Support, You Underestimate My Power, Attack of the Clones, and finally Hero of the Clone Wars. Also Standing Orders, because that's, well, everyone's got that. So, let's start by going into the first round. So, my first round was on, and you'll see on screen, it was Hostage Exchange, Advanced Positions, and Supply Drop. It was an interesting deployment. So here, I'll zoom in right here on where the hostages are. So the way it worked out is this little lower point spire was the middle of the map. And my side, I'm over here, and my opponent deployed up here. He had a Luke Skywalker Rebel Officer list with R2-D2 and a land speeder. And the way the hostages worked out is that he was able to drag the hostage all the way over there on his side, and then his was barely onto my side. On the first turn, I went with Hero of the Clone Wars, and he went with Return of the Jedi to get that dodge on Luke, which is a very good idea because I have a Z6 squad that's just sitting there and ready to do some damage. So, what I ended up doing, my idea for this, and now this was the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I meant to take a picture after every round. That did not happen. But I'll go over the deployment. So a bulk of my forces are down over here, including 5s, the commander. 5s, the commander, Anakin, my green Phase 2 unit, which is Phase 2, and then my rocket Phase 1 unit. Over here, I have one of my DC 15 units of clones, and then all the way up here to try and deny R2-D2 from scoring his secret mission was this other Phase 1 unit. This Phase 1 unit went down, was like my first thing I put down, and I anticipated that he was going to use the land speeder to drop off Luke in my gun line, but he didn't. He ended up putting R2-D2 in there, so after that happened, I was like, crap. That's not good. Because R2-D2 can chill in there with heavy cover. If he has a suppression on him, you can't shoot him, you have to shoot the speeder, which has light cover, and it has armor too. Plus, it's R2-D2 can just keep repairing him. So I think throughout the game, I actually would have destroyed the land speeder by 3 or 4 hits in total, but he just kept repairing it with R2-D2. I should also mention he had Lando Calrissian. That's him right there with the cape. We'll go on to the next picture, which is going to be right here. In this picture, this is after the first round. I did what my opponent said was a really interesting thing during round 1, and I used a standby on my Phase 2s. This actually worked out really well for me because it kind of kept his army in place, because after every move he's like, okay, are you using your standby now? Okay, what about now? what about now? Because he didn't want to do anything that really took him out of cover, but he couldn't do anything about the standby. There was no way to get a suppression on the unit. So he just kind of played it safe throughout most of it. Unfortunately, throughout all of this, at the end of turn 2, or at the end of turn 1, my green guys, they were mowed down, basically. They ended up doing a double move towards the chest, and they opened it, and they got back to capsules, but in the process, throughout everything that happened, they got shot at 3 times, plus Luke used his Jedi mind tricks, so they ended up with a lot of suppression on them overall. Going towards other parts of the board, the orange unit goes up to this crate and taps it. The white unit just stays there. They shot at the speeder for 1 damage, and, well, later on it just got healed anyways. Looking at the hostage unit, my hostage unit is right here behind the spires, next to Luke and Lando right here. His hostage unit is all the way back right there, starting to move over there. And it's also worth noting he has another unit of naked rebel troopers. They're both naked, and they're right there tapping a crate. The rest of my army just kind of slowly advanced up, and they were slowly making their way up towards him. For the next round, if I can find it, there we go. This was, so not the next round, but this is towards the end of the game. My green phase 1s and my commander are kind of like the only guys that are left down here. My orange unit and my white unit both got taken out, and R2 ended up scoring a secret mission. Anakin moved in, wiped out the unit that killed my hostage unit, but then they took my hostage back. He was able to go over there and liberate them, and Fives made a mad dash towards this unit, trying to shoot them as he went down. But Fives eventually, I think Fives actually ended up living this game, because I just spent all of Anakin's dodges to get it off. But at that point, it was kind of like, well, that's not great. So it ended up being a, we talked it over, it ended up being a 5-0, because I think this is round 5. Fives died after round 5, and after round 5, Lando and Anakin, and Luke just focused down Anakin. He only had 2 health on him left at this point, and he died. So, yeah, that was round 1. Round 1 was a loss for me. Unfortunate, but it happens. Next, we can go into my second game. My second game was against another Operative Luke and Lando combination. This time it came with Han Solo and Chewbacca. This is the map. It was kind of a Jedi Temple, Endor type or forest planet theme. It was pretty cool. I like this map a lot. Here is set up. It was intercept the transmissions, danger close, and clear conditions. So we didn't have to worry about anything pesky getting in the way. And here's how deployment went. I would say I lost this game on turn 0. I initially invested way too heavily up here because this was my clone commander and all my other Courage 2 units, so 5s and both my Phase 2s were up there. I shouldn't have invested that heavily. I should have left like 1 Phase 2 unit up there and then had everything else down here, because in what you'll see later on in the game, my opponent completely takes over this section that I'm kind of zooming in on with Han Solo, because he's a very dominating force, especially against red safe clones where he goes bang bang, there goes 4 of your guys. So I definitely made that huge mistake. Down here are the rest of my Phase 1s and Anakin. And this time I went with something a little bit different. Usually you start with Anakin's 3 pip to build him up. I decided to go with his 1 pip because I figured, alright, I'll get my Relentless early on, and I'll get my outmaneuver early on, which is both really good. Plus, that suppression from not going first doesn't matter, because it goes off the end of the turn, and I know I can't be shot. Which is something that's really good in theory, but I would highly recommend you should always play Anakin's 3 cards, no matter the order. First, those 3 are first. Definitely, because I made a mistake earlier in the game that really didn't net me any really big benefit that I couldn't have gotten from Anakin still being alive. A little spoiler. But going on to the next picture, this is round 2. So round 1 was mostly just moving up, getting into position. I was able to keep Han Solo. Now he is behind this pillar. I think you can see his arm right there in the center. But he was behind there because I just did standbys with my phase 2s, which kept him at bay, which was really beneficial for me. This turn I went with my air support. And the reason I originally was, I was going to target this group of Rebel veterans and the Mark IIs. That didn't exactly happen. So, no, go back. So what ended up happening is Lando and Luke ended up moving to about this location right here, along with another Rebel veteran unit, this green unit specifically, and I lasered those 3. I did 3 damage on Lando, no damage on Luke, no damage on the veterans. So, yeah. 3 damage on Lando. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have played the air support that turn. And maybe saved it for later. My apologies. Going on to round 3. So another more moving up. I decided to start moving guys down. At this point, Han Solo breaks through, and I end up hitting him with a standby, but only doing 1 wound after ducking cover. Gets him a suppression, so light cover. Plus he gets to block another hit. Plus my ally as a force, he gained a dodge. So it wasn't like he was really hurting that much. Also, his Rebel veterans start to move up, and at this point, Lando is dead. He is gone. And I've also played Anakin's 2-pip, so I get Surge to crit. And I think at this point, Anakin and Luke are staring each other down. Because, actually, no, on this turn, I didn't play, because I played Anakin's 2-pip in order to kill off Lando in the second turn. This turn I used Ambush to try and beat a Son of Skywalker, which I did. In fact, what happened is his Luke charged Anakin on his... maybe that was in the next round. I'm actually really not sure what I played this round, because I can't quite see what I played. I'll have to make sure next time, like I said, first time I ever did anything like this. Next time, I will definitely make sure to have more pictures. But at this point, my phase 1s are moving up with Anakin. 1 phase 2 unit and 5s are moving up with the commander towards the KP. My orange unit is just, or not the KP, the intercept point. This orange unit is also trying to claim my home intercept point, and this unit up here is kind of just gone. They're getting lost to obscurity, really. We're going on to round 4. So at this point, Anakin and Luke are duking it out. Now this is where the 1-pips come out. Son of Skywalker and Ambush. I win priority, which is huge. This caused me a lot of like, oh my god, what do I do? Here's what I did in this situation, which it worked out perfectly for me. My first action was a dodge action. My first action was to dodge. My second action was to force push Luke away into my line, kind of where his token is. Next, I saber throwed with a fire support from my phase 2 unit, which netted me a total of 9 hits, I think. And then on the defensive roll, now Luke has 4 more health at this point. On the defensive roll, my opponent saved 1 out of 9. So even if Luke was full health, he was very much dead, which worked out great. Only problem is that all these rebels right here just laid into Anakin, and Anakin eventually succumbed to his wounds. He only had 2 health remaining at this point, so he eventually went down, which really kind of ruined threw my game for me. If I could go back, I would change it, so Anakin gets a dodge from his card on his 2-pip, which gives him defend 1, so he would have gotten a dodge token anyways. Also, Luke, I should have force pushed. Then I should have moved or dodged and then moved, trying to get to this corner right here that I'm zooming on, which served as a really good pocket spot. So I should have probably just hid there. I think that would have been my best bet. Or I force push, I move there, I see if I kill him. If I kill him, I take the dodge, so I just get a bunch of dodges. If I don't kill him, I move back into melee with him, just so he has to, and then if I don't kill him, I just do anything else, really. I figure something out. But I didn't play that to my best ability, but it worked in my favor with the dice rolls, so that was nice. Moving on to... no, this is round 6, round 5, yes, round 5. Everyone starts dogpiling on the objectives. At this point, I only have standing orders and Attack of the Clones, that's my hand. So, I'm just trying to dogpile onto the center point. At this point, nothing really interesting happens, and then round 6, my units start to go away quite quickly. This turn was a change of plans 3-pip against my Attack of the Clones, which caused him, which he said, yep, switch it out. So we both ended up going with standing orders. And at the end of this, the center KP, I did the math, I would have had to kill 2 units in order to win. I couldn't kill 2 units because all of these guys, the turrets, were getting Guardian blocked by Chewie, which was very, very smart by my opponent. And I just ended up not doing great. So I ended up taking another loss, but it was still a very, very close game in the end. And it was a lot of fun. Going against Operative Luke is a challenge because he's one of the best Jedis in the game. Oh, and I think worth to point out, there's a sniper unit here holding his point. So yeah. I will go on to the next game, which was on a Scarif board. I actually played on the same Scarif board in Canto Bite, which was done in upstate New York. So I played, well, it wasn't the same board, but I played on a very similar board. It was all the same stuff, just it's a different layout. That was a very, very fun game. I also lost that game at Canto, so I guess I'll explain to you guys how this game went a little bit differently. So, our objectives are limited visibility, sabotage the moisture evaporators, and major offensive. It was honestly a bloodbath for my opponent, I should point out. But another thing to note, you see that guy right there? You see that guy? Operative Luke. Love it. I went against Operative Luke 3 times in a row. Gotta love it. But the way deployment out, it's just cut off. But Anakin and 2 phase 1s are down below here. And then the rest of my army is over here to the side. Just everyone else. He also put his Pathfinders on my moisture evaporators. My other moisture evap is right there next to Krennic Shuttle. You can kind of see right there. His 2 are, one's behind the orange crate and one's kind of in the middle. I think this was a turn 0 game. I placed Anakin down below first because I knew Anakin. My whole goal was to just send Anakin towards this moisture evap and contest it. He could probably do it on his own pretty well. These phase 1s are meant to just range for plink off any of his rebels that are moving up into that back. Because if I can at least suppress them or slow them down, that is huge. And I did, and that's exactly what happened. So, going on, this is after round 1. After round 1, I saber through into these fleet troopers. I only took out 1 guy because I rolled 2 surges and a hit. And this was I once again went the 1-pip this turn. This center area, I ended up doing 2 damage to the rebel officer, and everyone just moved up, while Luke is right here behind the orange box, coming to try and save some fleets. Over here, the Pathfinders got obliterated, but my Commander took a beating from the airspeeder, and this other DLT unit is coming up to support. I think at this point I've taken wounds, but I haven't lost any models. To go on to turn 3, he played I Am a Jedi, so kind of Anakin, and I did not anticipate that. I forgot about this card in all 3 of my games. It was played all 3 times, and every single time I'm like, crud, I did not remember that card. So I need to be more conscious of that card for sure. So at this point, Anakin is just staring down Luke, and I kind of just kicked the VAP and was like, all right, I'm just gonna chill here, I guess. I should have probably just I probably should have just kicked the VAP and then moved away, trying to force him to be like, all right, yeah, come repair the VAP. And you can't move any closer to me, but you're gonna have to repair the VAP for sure. This unit, Rebels, don't have the pointing commander. He was getting shot at and obliterated by these troops down here. I only lost 1 guy down here. The rest of my units started moving up. My commander started taking a lot more hits from the airspeeder, but we ended up bringing it down during this round. So that was a very huge win for my 1,000,001 clones, it seemed, versus his 6 rebels and airspeeder. Going on to the next round, Son of Skywalker versus Attack of the Clones. I figured I had no more 1-pips, and I was like, alright, well, I guess I'll just try to keep these clones up here alive, because that's what I'm going to have to do. And at this point, I lose my orange unit. I lost my orange unit in the last round, and I'm just moving up, trying to repair the second moisture VAP that's kind of behind Krennic's wing right here, or destroy, because I was destroying in this game. So I'm trying to destroy it while these guys are still like holding off these guys up here, trying to plink them down. After this, Anakin definitely dies, but it's round, now it's going into round 5, and Luke has to stay there and repair the VAP, and these white clones are just shooting, and all these other clones, my clone commander dies at this point, so 5 is my new leader, so I went from a Courage 2 commander to a Courage 2 5s, who actually, ironically enough, the whole unit as a whole has more health than the commander, interestingly enough, which is always kind of weird, and that happens sometimes. And we ended up both agreeing that, like, okay, Luke's got to stay there. These guys aren't gonna be able to have enough force to take out any of my guys, and I ended up killing this back unit over here. So yeah, you can see in this picture, this is round 6. I killed the back force. I ended up moving the 1 guy left in white team. He ended up moving all the way back here into safety, and we called the game here. I went down to points, or kill points, and because we tied on victory points, so went down to kill points, and I won. So I ended up I ended the tournament going 1-2. So I didn't lose all my games, but I didn't exactly win them all either, I would say. This tournament was ran very, very well. I enjoyed the location. Location was pretty cool. I would say I would go to this tournament again, and it is going to like a Legion tournament in general. Even the smaller ones like this one, it was only an 8-person tournament, 3 rounds. It is a experience going against a less, especially when people know what they're doing. One of my opponents in the first round, he was in the top 4 at Adepticon. So that was interesting going against him, because that was my first round, and I'm just like, man, I have not played an 800-point game in like 2 months. This is going to be great. And my real challenge with this is I wanted to be blue player, because I've never been blue player in any of my 800-point games. So out of my 8 I've played so far, all in like semi-competitive / casual tournaments, I've been blue player 3 times, and they're all here out of the 8. So overall, blue player versus red player, I personally like blue player a lot, because picking your objectives can be very big, very huge for you. Unfortunately, sometimes you do get kind of like screwed over, especially during hostage exchange in the first round. Like you can see here, if the Spire ended up being not exactly in my favor. So on that note, we can end the video here. Overall, I like this list a lot. I'm going to make some changes and improvements. I really like the way Gar work. I really like Anakin and how well he synergizes with the rest of the clone army. And I think I'm definitely going to be taking a list like this or some semblance of it to any future competitions. There's one list I'm throwing around in my head with a couple ATRTs that I actually just finished painting, like before recording this. So we will see how that works. And who knows, maybe you guys might see them in an 800 point video coming soon. For right now, though, we are taking a little bit of like a week or two long, 1 to 2 week long break. We're not gonna have any opportunity to record because college is coming up, or finals are coming up for college. So we're gonna take a little break, but we will be back with a bang, hopefully with an 800 point game. So we will see you guys then. Till then, peace.